Comment down below what waifu you think this is. Number 1. Devil's Line. Tsukasa Taira is a 22-year-old college student who is ignorant of the fact that one of her closest friends is a murderous vampire. One night while walking home with said friend, they are confronted by a sketchy-looking dude who winds up arresting her friend for the murder of multiple girls. During the arrest, Tsukasa got hurt, so this sketchy-looking guy named Yuki Anzai is nice enough to carry her home. Well, it turns out, Anzai is a human-vampire hybrid, and due to a busted lip and blood being completely irresistible to vampires, well, this ends up happening. Without spoiling too much, Anzai takes a liking to Tsukasa and ends up getting suspended from the detective agency for excessive brutality against a human. This anime follows Tsukasa and Anzai as they enter into a romantic relationship and try to overcome the many barriers separating them. Devil's Line is like Tokyo Ghoul due to the similar settings. Basically, just switch out the ghouls in Tokyo Ghoul for vampires and the settings become identical. More similarities would be watching Anzai struggle against his vampire urges, similar to how Kaneki struggles against his ghoul instincts. We even have a government agency in both anime whose sole purpose it is to track down the monsters. Look, if you like the idea of humans unknowingly living side by side with monsters, and you would like to see a more romantic take on it, then you should check out Devil's Line. Or in the description below. Number 2. Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. Here we have a steampunk-ish type of world that has a serious case of man-eating zombies. And I don't mean the slow, funny walking kind. This is some Left 4 Dead level of chaos. I mean hordes upon hordes of completely fearless zombies who will do whatever it takes to eat your face. As expected, getting bit means almost certain death, but there are some rare cases where infected humans are able to retain their sanity. They are known as Kabaneri. Humans built giant walled cities in order to keep out the zombies, which are also known as Kabane. But one of these cities was overrun, forcing everybody to flee onto the Iron Fortress. Ikoma and Mume were both at this city, and both turn out to be Kabaneri. They work together aboard the Iron Fortress, defending it against the Kabane as they seek out a new place to call their home. Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress is like Tokyo Ghoul, mainly due to the protagonist. Ikoma and Kaneki both become part monster, and they both struggle to keep a foot on the human side of that equation. Then in both anime, the humans are constantly fighting against man-eating monsters, plus neither anime is afraid to show some serious blood and gore. The question isn't if you should watch Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress, the question is why haven't you watched Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress? You guys kept telling me to watch this anime, so I gave it a try, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. Number 3. Seraph of the End. In Japan, vampires have risen to power due to a virus that wiped out 90% of humanity. These vampires see humans as nothing more than livestock, and they treat them as such. Yuichiro and his family live under the control of the vampires and are forced to donate blood in order to live. Yu, along with his family, try to escape from the vampire's control, and let's just say a lot of his family didn't have a good time. Yu is the only member to successfully escape and winds up being recruited into the Imperial Demon Army, whose goal it is to eliminate the vampire menace. Seraph of the End is similar to Tokyo Ghoul, primarily in the setting. Seraph of the End has humanity in a war against the vampires, similar to how Tokyo Ghoul has humanity in a war against the ghouls. The difference here is that Tokyo Ghoul follows the point of view of the monsters, while this anime follows the view of the humans. I would also argue that Yu goes through a very traumatic experience, just like Kaneki. Then Seraph of the End has a human who turns into a monster, which is of course similar to Kaneki becoming a ghoul. Honestly, I love the idea of this anime, and I fully understand why it is so popular. I'm just not super into it. Personally, I don't care for the main character, which makes it difficult to watch, but that's just my opinion. I'm very curious to see how this one goes over with you guys. Number 4. Arifureta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. Hajime is a 17-year-old high school student, and one day his entire class, including the teacher, are summoned into a fantasy world. Everyone in his class has amazingly strong skills, except for our protagonist Hajime, who only has a single weak ability. The class begins training in a nearby dungeon when all of a sudden Hajime gets stabbed in the back by a classmate. Figuratively, not literally. This results in Hajime falling into a deep dark abyss with little to no hope of anyone coming to save him. Being all alone and surrounded by monsters, Hajime struggles to survive and claw his way out of this dungeon with the hope of one day returning home to Earth. Oh yeah, he also becomes a total hardass and picks up some allies along the way. Arifureta is like Tokyo Ghoul due to their protagonist. Hajime and Kaneki both start off very kind and weak, but become stronger due to severe trauma. This trauma makes them become very cold and ruthless towards strangers, but yet they remain kind and thoughtful toward their allies. Then Hajime gains new skills by eating monsters, while Kaneki gains more power by eating ghouls. Plus, they both grow white hair. Basically, if you enjoy the ruthless and edgy vibes that radiate from Kaneki, then chances are you're going to enjoy watching Hajime act the same way. All that being said, you should know that while Tokyo Ghoul is very dark, serious, and psychological, Arifureta is comedy and harem driven. Also, Arifureta has terrible animation, crummy pacing, but the story itself can still be very entertaining. This anime is last on the list for two reasons. First, it's hella similar to Tokyo Ghoul. Second, most of you are probably going to leave once you see the animation. Number 5. Ajin, Demi-Human. Okay, I think we all know where this is going. Oh shit, he didn't die! Kei was your normal run-of-the-mill high school student until he found out that he was an Ajin. Ajins are immortal creatures that the government is completely terrified of, so they tend to imprison and experiment on them. Not wanting to live the rest of his immortal life as a lab rat, Kei decides that he will take his chances at running away from the authorities. It doesn't take long before Kei finds out that some Ajins have special powers, and that they are not as rare as he was once made to believe. Ajin is like Tokyo Ghoul due to, well, everything. In both anime, the protagonist almost dies, winds up becoming a monster, and ends up being hunted down by the government. Then in both anime, the protagonists are forced to fight back against humans and also against other monsters. Look, the protagonist is similar, the setting is similar, and the plot is similar. If you like Tokyo Ghoul and you can get past the 3D animation, then it's almost a given that you will enjoy watching Ajin, Demi-Human. So, were you able to guess what waifu this is? Yeah, that one was easy. It's Froppy from My Hero Academia. My next anime-like video in 2 weeks will be on Tower of God, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope to see you next time.